and welcome to United Airlines. On behalf of the more than 100,000 employees that make up our airline, it's a pleasure to have you flying with us today. My name is Captain Eldridge. I'm going to be your captain on Flight 928 from Chicago's O'Hare to London Heathrow today, and then back on Wednesday from London Heathrow back to Chicago. A little bit later, I'll be introducing you to the first officers, as well as the purser and the rest of the flight attendant crew. This is the flight operations area for United in Chicago at O'Hare International Airport. In just a little bit, we're going to get our flight paperwork, and we'll take and review that together with the first officers. From there, we'll be going across the hall to meet the flight attendants, and then we'll make our way up to gate C10, where we'll find our aircraft number 2371 being prepared for our flight to London. Again, on behalf of all of us at United, we appreciate you being with us, and welcome aboard.
As far as 928, the only thing we had, it was an ETOPS verification flight from Indianapolis, and everything checked out fine.
Earlier in the day, they said about an oil consumption on that.
That's what it was.
That was
a
okay.
verification flight from Indianapolis, checked out fine.
Excellent. Anybody else have anything for 928? Any questions for Captain or no?
We'll meet you up at the podium in about how long, sir?
As soon as we get done.
I'll be back.
Good luck. Have fun.
Thanks.
Have a good journey.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Okay, we've come across the hall now to meet the onboard crew. This is our purser, Diane McDonald, and she's basically in charge of the 13 flight attendants this evening on our way to London. 6 hours and 52 minutes. The co-pilots are Wayne Grau and Paul Ota, and I suspect on the way out of here today it's going to be kind of rough because these thunderstorms that have moved through are going to be just east of here. So initially plan on y'all being down after takeoff, and we'll get a better look at it and get a few sweeps on the radar, and then I'll give you an idea then. But we could have some significant thunderstorms to get around the first hour or so of the flight. Okay? Now you're going to start off by serving dinner as soon as you can. Is that the deal? Cocktails first? Okay. We may have to coordinate a little bit as I'm looking at the weather just to make sure that in the middle of your service I'm not going to have to ask you to sit down. But we'll do the best we can. As far as I'm concerned, if y'all have a safety flight issue, I don't care what we're doing. Just let us know right away. If we don't answer you, give us a minute. It probably means we know and we're trying to handle it. If we don't answer a second call, and you consider it really important to talk to us, come find out why we're not answering that call. And I don't care what stage of flight we're in. If you think you have the need to talk to us, come talk to us. Non-emergency things, I'll coordinate with you, like if we're going to significantly deviate or a diversion or any delays or anything like that. I'll talk to you first. And that way you can share it with your flight attendants. That's all right with you? And we can talk about the knock later. All righty? Anything else? Any questions, ladies? Okay, well, we will see you all out there. Okay. And I bet this is Wayne. Perfect timing, Wayne. Hi. These are our two first officers for our trip today to London. And right at the door there is Wayne Grau. Hi, Mom. And this is Paul Ota. So what we're going to do now is you've met the flight attendants, and I've given you the brief overview. We're going to take a look at the paperwork. I had a phone conversation a couple minutes ago with dispatch. And they're pretty confident that once we take off and start heading north and get up towards northern Michigan, most of the thunderstorms are south and east of us and won't present much of a problem. As we head towards El Saba, we might have to deviate a little bit. Their weather is making it look like it'll be minor, not too significant. And once we clear that, they promise smooth sailing all the way to London. So we're going to take a look at the paperwork, and then we'll press on. So here's our route of flight for this evening. All of our flight plans are generated by our dispatchers that are at our corporate headquarters about 5 or 6 miles from here. And they come to us, and then basically what we do is it's pretty much proofing. We take a look at it, make sure everything's acceptable to all three of us. At United, we're very strong on CLR, and so all three of us will agree this is what we want to do before I'll sign the paperwork, and we'll press on and accept the fuel. I'll let you guys start looking at this. I kind of took a glance a little bit earlier today. I've been here for a while. 6 hours and 52 minutes. Not too long of a flight. The alternate is Manchester. We have a couple point of equal times along the way, and we can talk more about that once we're on our way. Keflavik and Glasgow will be some airports weather we'll be keeping an eye on. You're going to be on board a United Airlines 777 this evening. It's a 2-engine aircraft. It flies ETOPS, extended overwater operations, and we have a few more significant restrictions than the 4-engine aircraft when they go across the Atlantic and the Pacific. We have to keep within a certain number of minutes of land. In this case, it's I believe 180 tonight, or maybe 120. 138-minute ETOPS. So at no point tonight will we be more than 138 minutes, single engine, away from an alternate suitable landing. And all things being equal, we should be in London with, we're going to take off with a fuel load of 131,800 pounds plus a little taxi fuel. And if everything works out just as planned, we'll get to London with 29,300 pounds. And it'll be about 7 o'clock in the morning, roughly, more or less. And it's supposed to be a beautiful day. So once Paul and Wayne have had a chance to look over that, one of them will take the plotting chart and we'll plot our points, and I guess that's Wayne this evening, right? Good to you. The plane is, they had the ETOPS verification on the oil consumption earlier today from Indianapolis. That checked out good, so the aircraft was in good shape. You guys want to take a look at this? Make sure you're happy with that. It's non-redispatch flight this evening.
There'll be plenty of fuel, and let's see, we're alternate tonight.
Manchester.
Manchester, and that's a 200-pound burn.
So even if we get there and then go to Manchester at 29,000 pounds, we sit around for 20, 30 minutes, we're still going to be well above a fleet plan landing, which would be my minimum to be on the ground someplace no less than 14,000. But we would be having discussions about that as it looked like that was going to happen. And what I'd like to do, what I like to do is take and put in the fleet plan landing plus the 8-2, which it is tonight to get there. So that's 22-2. Put that in the reserves. That's like the Craig. If that light comes on, you're supposed to be going to the alternate. It's like the last catch for me, or gouge. If that's all right with you guys, I'd like to do that. Okay. You guys are happy. I'm happy. I'm going to go ahead and sign the paperwork, and then you and I will be able to head towards the airplane.
Okay.
Although we've got over an hour already. What Paul and Wayne are going to do is Paul's going to read off the points, and Wayne's going to plot them on the chart. Even though we've got we're flying one of the most advanced aircraft in the world, and you'll see that once we get airborne in our route of flight, we still back everything up by using a plotting chart. And you'll see this evening that one of the two of us take plots as we reach each significant point in our flight. So they're going to do that right now. They're going to mark the plotting chart for our route of flight.
30, 5520, 5510, and then TADEX. Just put that on there.
Walk around at the nose of the airplane and checking the nose wheel and tire pressures, looking for any leaks up in there. We come around to the nose of the airplane and checking to make sure that the wipers are up above the tabs so that they will continue to work okay. Otherwise they get stuck underneath there. Checking mosquito probes, and ice detectors, angle of attack vanes. Here at the engine, checking the turbine blades and the fan blades up front. Reverser. Static port on this side and all of the connections for the cowling are underneath. Check to make sure that those are all latched. No nicks on the fan blades up front. See how that is. Got our fuel dump mask. Leaking from there. Just checking overall condition of the airplane, making sure that the doors are closed here. Checking to make sure the tire pressure is okay here. And that all of the brakes are in good condition. We've got brake pins that are out. Up latch on the landing gear. Back in here, and on the front that we make sure is all right, extended okay, handle all right. Yeah, so that's the tilt mechanism. Our ram air turbine comes down from here. Drain masks underneath. Back to check the wings as much as we can. Panels closed up. Brake pins on the brakes. Hi, how you doing? Thanks. Just got the fuel sheet from the cooler. Looking at the trailing edge of the wing of the flap. Flapper on. Position lights on the wings.
Hi, I'm Diane McDonald, and the first thing we need to do is get the videotapes into our system so we can show this during the flight. So we have a list of what we do, and we put them into the master system. There's 9. The feature films are 1 through 4. And we make sure they're rewound. And we also, on a flight to Europe, we show 2 different sets so people never get bored with the movies. And I'll start them just so you get an idea. how they actually work. Right now, here's the air show that will show exactly where we are in our flight, the altitude, how many hours remaining, the hours at where our destination will be, and is where we came from as well. And here will be the first movie going on to the next movie. So at any time during the flight, I can check to see where we are in the movie, and once we're all done, we'll just start a new set for everybody. And again, here's the air show that will show us that we're going Chicago to London.
Okay, as we told you in dispatch, our flight plans come from our corporate headquarters, our dispatchers. One of the really neat things about the 777 and the package that United bought is it used to be that we would have to go through and load our entire route of flight in the computer, which is still better than the olden INSs or that the earlier aircraft, the 707s and early 747s and DC-10s used. But what we can do is we just go down and I'm going to request the route of flight. So that message is now being sent to our dispatch center at Chicago, about 5-6 miles from here. And it's going to come back in a couple minutes, and then we're going to be able to load it. He says. Okay. So what we've got in now is it's come back that the uplink is ready for a route of flight. So I'm just going to push load, and I can go over. And as you can see, it's loaded the entire route of flight. So now what we need to do is verify it. So as you can see, we're going direct to Petty, then Peacock, ASP, KLANT, YXI. On the next page, it's answer, YAY. Then out on the net track, so it should be 5350, 5440, 5530, 5520, 5510, TADEX, and then upper north 551 to BEL, UB3 to HON and direct. So there's the entire flight plan in 2 minutes. Select pre-departure clearance request and send it, and now we wait, and we should get it in just a few minutes.
Clearance, we'll set our squawk transponder.
So now that's our clearance. So what we'll do is I'll go to page 2 first, because you have to look at both pages to get rid of it. I'll print it and we'll get a hard copy off, and then what we'll do is we'll verify that checks with the flight plan, which is we've already checked with the route of flight that was already loaded in the uplink. Okay, O'Hare Petty Peacock, ASP J522, KLANT, YXI, Answer, YAY, and London. Call departure, don't worry about. Revised segments are none. 5,000 feet's the initial altitude. We'll expect our requested altitude 10 minutes after takeoff. 2167 will be the first frequency we talk on, and we've got the ATIS, and this is all about us up here. We're Flight United's Flight 928 of the 23rd of July, O'Hare to London, and then this is how we were filed. We're a Boeing 777 Q model. Proposed off time in Greenwich Mean is 22:30. Requesting flight level 330. Our transponder is 6545. We are set and good to go.
Reduced 520.8. Performance note. One correction, we're not going to use one. There's a correction, there isn't one. And there's no T procedure.
Okay, it's going to be my takeoff, my decision to abort. Above 80 knots, only want to abort for an engine fire or failure. Loss of asymmetric control, but we just don't think the aircraft can fly. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and continue to take off. As Paul said, there's no T procedure. I'll get in the flight director. We'll get out over central Illinois out here someplace and handle the emergency. Most likely what we'll do is once I get up to altitude, I'll give you the aircraft call. I'll let Wayne, you back up Paul on the radios while I talk to Sam and dispatch. If it's catastrophic, just get on the radio and tell them to get out of our way. We can do a big left, 360 and land. In the event of abort, I'll do the procedure. You'll tell the tower who we are, where we are, what we're doing. You can keep an eye on that.
All right.
Jettison is a factor. We weigh 520 roughly, and 445 is our landing weight. So if needed, go ahead and you start jettisoning on your own, okay?
Okay.
You don't need me to tell you to do it. If we have an engine failure, you just start jettisoning.
All right.
Okay. Other than that, we checked the NOTAMs and the POSVDs earlier. We were all aware of the POSVD about the runway identifiers. We took care of that. I didn't see any other flight plan changes. I don't expect wind shear to be a factor today. The runway's in good condition. The takeoff profile is going to be radar vectors up to 5,000 feet on the O'Hare 9 up to the north out over Petty. High terrain as the downtown buildings in Chicago. They should be off our right, far off our right, so it shouldn't be a factor at all. Transition altitude is always to be 18,000. Everybody keep your eyes out front. If anybody sees anything that would scare them, please say something. Just don't say abort. We took care of the OMC briefing, and we've talked about jettison. Any questions? No. Okay, that's it. Checklist, please.
Okay. Before start checklist. Departure briefing. It's complete. FMC radios.
They are programmed, set, and verified.
Program set and verified. Fuel quantity.
We've got 133,100 pounds, and we're good to go with 131.8.
131.8. Fuel quantity.
It is normal.
Oxygen check.
Left.
Complete.
Complete. All factor. Okay.
Altimeters.
I've got 2988 inches set twice.
98 set. Parking brake.
Set. Pressure's normal.
Trim.
0, 0, and 5.0 is set.
Before start checklist.
Okay. Before pushback.
Doors.
Yeah. One door left only.
Port carbon. 28 to the push drop.
928, tail north, clear to push.
Tail north through to push. United 928.
Before pushback checklist is complete. So turn to push, tail number, brakes are set. Brakes release. we get airborne, get the radar on and get a good scan, and check good.
Let me just verify it. I'll verify with the zone controllers because I can't get a hold of the zone controllers. I've been on hold ever since I switched over to the other frequency. I've been on hold on the phone for them and nobody's answering. So stand by just a minute. Let me call somebody else.
Absolute or release for guidance. Ready when you are. See this car coming from the left.
Caps 5?
Sure. Left turn on Bravo for the bridge. You got right, left turn to Bravo, probably. Yeah. That or we'll just go full thrust.
Set. Here comes your radios.
Program set for departure.
Program set for departure. Thrust.
It's going to be 1.364. It's going to make a big difference. Thank you, Wayne. I'm going to stop here because I can't stop on the bridge and I don't know if I think there's enough room next to Lufthansa.
Okay.
You agree?
I agree. Good.
Your viewers might find it interesting. The reason we're not allowed to stop on the bridge isn't due to weight.
Yeah.
It's because if there's an emergency evacuation on the wide-body airplanes, the slides go over the side of the bridge and they would be ending up dropping onto the road.
to hold. Everybody's ready? Ready. Final items. Test recall canceled. 14 on checklist is complete. Off 3-2 right, fire to the runway heading.
Gate brakes are off. Here we go. We're at 1.364.
V1.
VR. V2.
How's the corner and gear up and hitting select?
United 920 navigating.
Box 1. Departure control United 920 area 2.5 to 5,000.
Flaps up. show, United's 928. 330. Should do it though, just take another spot. Scoot over this way a tad. Right by this. Started your back that way.
What I'd like to do is just take you through all the systems on the 777. This is one of about 60 of these aircraft that United has, and they're all basically the same. Starting up here, this is the electrical panel. The key to all these systems that you're going to see is if you keep the yellow lights off, that means everything is working fine. We have an auxiliary power unit in the tail, which in itself is just a small little jet engine. That's for that. And then we have, each engine has its generator. So you have your left generator and your right generator. And then we have a couple backup generators. But one thing about the 777 compared to older airplanes like the 737 and the 727 and the older 747s is the systems are much simpler and much easier, and much more is done automatically. Come down here, this basically is just all the lights, the landing lights, the runway turn-off lights, the taxi lights, and the strobes. And again, these are just controls for the lights. And we even have a light, the logo light, that is they're mounted on the wingtips, and they shine a very bright light at the tail so that you can see the United emblem on the tail of the aircraft. These are the no smoking and passenger seatbelt signs. The no smoking sign is always on at United. We're a completely no smoking airline. Fasten seatbelt sign is in auto right now, which means it's off. But if the emergency oxygen system deployed, or we put the gear or flaps down, the seatbelt signs automatically would go on. This is just a microphone to pick up our voices for the cockpit voice recorder. Right here you have the anti-ice system. This is for our wing, for both wings, then one for each engine. And like many things in this airplane, we run around with them in auto, and if they need them, it comes on. We very seldom see that though. Right here is the hydraulic system for the aircraft. There's a electric hydraulic pump for each engine, and also then two engine-driven pumps. And again, everything just runs in auto, and all the lights are off, so that's good. This is the ram air turbine, or what's called the RAT. And the deal with that is if we were to lose all of our electrics or hydraulics, either I could open this up and extend it, or it would automatically drop under certain circumstances. And it's just a big propeller off the left side of the aircraft that spins and powers the electrics and the hydraulics. On the right side of the aircraft, I'm sorry. These are the window heat switches. We heat the windows because it's so cold, so they're always on in flight. And then this is just the emergency exit lights and the passenger oxygen system. Right up here is the fire handle for our auxiliary power unit. You just pull that and twist it to fire off a bottle. And then we have a cargo firefighting system also. And this is, you would arm up either the forward or aft and then push the discharge. The EECs, and basically they're kind of like governors for the engines, and there's one for each engine, and they're both normally on. And then these are our start switches and our auto start system. And as you could tell from when we started the engines at O'Hare, it's very quiet. We can start both engines at once in this airplane, and pretty much all we're doing is monitoring them to make sure nothing goes wrong. But it's not like some of the older aircraft where they're calling N1 and N2 and oil pressure and oil temperature. This is our fuel jettison system. We have a nozzle on the left wingtip and the right wingtip. We can literally dial in how much fuel we want to jettison overboard, or you could just pull the knob, arm up the system, fire it off, and it'll drop down to a certain preset level. That's something we never use. This is our fuel system. Right now we have the pumps on for the left engines and the right engine, the 2 pumps in each engine. These are cross-feed pumps. If we wanted to move fuel from one side to the other, we would just turn them on. But we don't need to do that. And this is the center tank pumps. We had those on for takeoff, but we've used all the fuel in the center tank. Come back over here, windshield wipers. Pressurization system, very simple. The aircraft, based on what you load in the FMC, the aircraft knows where you are, where you're going, and what the pressurization should be. This is our pneumatic system, and again, everything's either in auto or on, and all the lights are off, and that's how you want it to be during flight. And then we have the temperature controllers, a recirculation fan. We reuse some of the air on the aircraft. That saves fuel. And then we have equipment cooling fan to keep the electronic equipment directly below where we're sitting cool. And this is just a gasper. Those are the little eyeball knobs everybody twists over their seat, and that's just supplying air to the gasper system. And above that is just the circuit breakers. There's very few on the 777 that the crew can get to. Most of them are downstairs. We never go down there. And there's very little that we ever need to do with circuit breakers on this aircraft. And that takes care of the overhead panel.
So we'd like to deviate a little to the north, about 10 degrees northern.
Standard 928 deviation is approved when able to St. Anthony.
Okay, deviation approved, and when able to St. Anthony.
925
Yeah. You keep an eye on that. I'm just going to go over the mode control panel, which is this panel up here. This button here engages the autopilot. It's lit up, which means it's on. These are our flight director switches. There's one on my side and one on the first officer side also. The fact that they're on is just being displayed down below, and you'll see that in a minute. Auto throttles are on. These two switches actually arm them up. The fact that this light is lit means they're on. This right here, if we were, is our airspeed indicator. This is an autopilot disengage bar. LNAV right here, that's lateral navigation, and as we go down below, we'll show you the purple or magenta line. Right now we're on heading select, which is why you see 060 here. We're using this right here to steer the aircraft. VNAV is vertical navigation, and it's tied right here to 37,000 feet, which is our altitude. It's lit up, which means the computers on the aircraft are controlling our altitude and our speed. And this is a flight level change or flitch, and right now we're not using it. You'll see that being used when we descend into London. This is if we wanted to climb or descend using vertical speed. That's the wheel for pitching the nose up or down. This is the localizer and the approach. You'll see those used when we go in to London again. And this is just a repeater that shows the autopilot's engaged. Over here, we have a schematic for basically all of our instruments. Okay, this is the fuel schematic. It's telling you how much fuel is in each wing. And as you can see, the center is empty. Cross feeds are closed, and we're using the fuel out of our left and right wing. Would you hit the electric, please? There's our electrical system. Everything's in the green. If anything was wrong, we'd see something in either amber or red. Next will be hydraulics. Same thing. You can see the pressure in each of our hydraulic systems. Everything's green, which means it's normal. The arrows point to what each hydraulic system controls. Next would be a pneumatic system, air system. The master switch is calling for 75-degree air throughout the airplane. This is for each zone. What's in magenta is what's set, and what's in white is what actually is in that compartment. Correct? Yeah. And then again, you can see the pneumatics are coming off of both engines. And the isolation valves are closed. If we were running the APU and it was powering something pneumatically, this would be lit up green. Doors. This indicates all the doors in the aircraft, and fortunately they're all closed. When we get on the ground in London or tomorrow going back, we'll show you what they look like when they're open. But right now this is indicating that all the doors are secure. The next will be the gear. Again, the gear is closed, all the doors are closed, and these are temperatures. And they're all relatively low, like they should be at altitude with the gear up and locked. The next is flight controls. But it's telling you right now we're in normal flight control mode, and basically the system's pretty much equaled out. Everything's at the indices, so we're basically in neutral. All of our panels are down, and there's very little rudder trim in the aircraft, and for the most part tells you we're trimmed up and we're flying straight and level. We can pull up checklists. They come up in order. Since the next checklist we'll do is approach descent, that's the one that comes up. They become green as we use them. Did you get the comm page for me? This page we can go to and we can send messages to the company, and in fact this would be a good time for us to log on to the ADS system. What we're doing now is we're going to log in to the system that's going to give us it's an ATC logon and status system, and this is how we're going to communicate and get our clearance and in fact make some position reports for all practical purposes. He's logged on to the proper center right here. This is our flight, and then we put our tail number and airline ID in. That looks good, so Paul sends it. And what we're this is normal. ADS arm and emergency off. And what we're going to be looking for is eventually to see that we're logged on. And there we are. We're established and logged on. So sometime later in the flight we're going to get our clearance and our track and everything right off of this. Okay, that pretty much takes care of all of that. We can also take and send a message to the company. Paul can show you that. We would click on company, and if we wanted to talk to our dispatchers, he could click on message to company, click on dispatch, and then we can type a message to them and they can send a message back to us. So very little radio chatter required. We seldom have to go through airing or anything like that. So what he's going to do now is just report to our dispatchers in Chicago that we're getting very light shot. And that's that. As long as you're right. Now it's sending it. Now it's sent. And they've got it. And if they respond, we'll hear a ding,
and we'll get a message back. Well, the clock lets us know how long we've been going. The best thing about this clock is we try not to mess with it because it's too hard to set. So what's this telling us now is that it's 44 minutes after midnight Greenwich time, and we've been airborne 1 hour and 43 minutes. I started this clock when I pushed the throttles up for takeoff. When we get to the other side, you'll see that his clock has about 27 more minutes on it. Paul started his clock when we pushed off the gate. Right here, this is our airspeed tape. We're asking the airplane to fly 0.84 Mach. It's actually doing about 0.836, 837. It varies a little bit, which works out to be 272 knots at this altitude. And this is our speed tape. What we don't want to do is see this little this little pointer anywhere up in here in the red. That would be an overspeed. Basically, just the flight director. As long as everything, we've got this perfect across here with a little pipper in the middle, and this magenta line is on the little wing symbols here. It's just indicating that we're flying straight and level on the course that's set right here. The magenta line, that's the magic line that's taking us from Chicago to London, and we've got about 2.5 degrees nose high attitude as we fly. This is the top of the compass rose, a standard compass. If you want to, whoops, I can display it here also. But over here on the ESHI, we only see the top of it, the top 70 degrees. This indicates the autopilot's engaged. We're in speed mode, lateral navigation mode, which means we're following this line, and VNAV path, which means, as I told you earlier, the aircraft's in VNAV. And that's what's dictating altitude and speed. It's what we've set in it. And again, we're right at 37,000 feet. The standard here means we've got 2992 set in our altimeters. This is the navigational display. The weather radar is on right now, and you can see a little bit of weather off our left. We're following the magenta or purple line. These blue circles are fields that this aircraft is capable of landing at in an emergency. We've got a wind at about 80 knots from our left. Our track is 086 degrees. And we're navigating, our next active waypoint is YAY. It's 575 nautical miles ahead of us. And the plane is saying it's going to be there at 0152, so about 1 hour and 5 minutes from now. These are our standby instruments, and you'll notice they're all glass, just like everything else in this airplane. There are no non-glass instruments in the aircraft, and they're just backups that we would use only in an emergency. The upper display here is indicating the outside total air temperature, and also the EPR for our engines, or exhaust pressure ratio, the N1 and EGT for our engines, both very normal. We're showing 96,900 pounds of fuel and a fuel temperature of plus 7 degrees Celsius. And then as you move down to the screen we were using before, this is giving us a lot more engine indications. N2, fuel flow. We've got a fuel flow of about 7,500 pounds per hour for both engines. So the total would be about 15,000 pounds an hour. Oil pressure, oil temperature, oil quantity, and vibrations in the engines, which are very minimal. Just a few more random gauges. A brake accumulator gauge, which is
United 928 Western Center Engine, and you can expect that light turbulence for the next half hour or so.
I'm running my inboard display in navigation, and he runs his inboard display in MFD, or multifunctional display. You'll see that the
flying pilot is the one calling up the checklists and everything. There are two CDUs on both airplanes for our flight management computer system. We normally run around in one in progress. What this is saying is we have 2,624 nautical miles for touchdown. It's estimating touchdown at London, which is EGLL, at 05:53, so 5 hours and 4 minutes from now. And the computer's saying we're going to have 32,600 pounds of fuel. So we have to burn about another 64,000 pounds of fuel. This is the gear handle. Right next to it, right here, is an alternate gear. We do have the ability, if there's a problem with the normal gear system, to lower it with the alternate system. We also can override the gear override system, the flap override, the terrain override system. Those are all done very, very seldom, and normally they're part of an irregular procedure. On a routine flight, we won't even touch those. Right below it is the auto brake system. This aircraft, like most new aircraft, is equipped with an auto braking system. Right now it's in off. For takeoff, we had it selected RTO down here, which stands for rejected takeoff. Had I aborted the takeoff at above a certain speed, the brakes would have come on automatically. Disarm is just used as you turn it off. There's 5 different positions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and max. Normally we use 2 and 3 quite a bit. The difference is for 1 through 4 is there are different rates of deceleration. And max auto brake is going to give you everything it's got as quickly as it possibly can. And then right next to it is just some flap limit speeds. Those are the maximum speeds that Boeing recommends you extend your flaps. And in fact, United has backed those speeds off about 10 knots. So although it says flaps 1 is 240 knots maximum, United it's 230. And one of Paul's responsibilities, the non-flying pilot, and on this leg it's him since I'll be flying, is to make sure I don't exceed any flap limits. So if I ask for flaps 1, he'll either cross-check it or say something like speed's good, and it means he's cross-checking the speed. Over-speeding the flaps on this aircraft, like the 767 or the 400, is a really big deal. It's quite a extensive maintenance requirement, so we're very, very careful about over-speeding our flaps. As you move farther down, these are the throttles, left and right, and the reversers above them. You'll see the reversers being used on landing. Right here is the speed brake, or the spoilers. Some people call them both. These are the trim knobs. We don't have a trim wheel. We have these pitch and trim handles. Right to the right is our flap handle. They're up obviously in cruise. And there's a detent for each position. And our normal landing flap, if everything's working normal in London, will be flaps 30. That's the standard flap speed. These are the fuel control switches. They're both in run. They won't be turned off till we're at the gate. Next to them are the emergency cutoffs for the stabilizer system. They're guarded red switches, and we only use those in an emergency procedure. Right down here, this lever here is the parking brake. It's just like the parking brake in your car that you pull up to put it on or push with your foot, but it's right here on this aircraft. And next to it is the stabilizer trim indicator, and as you can see, we're indicating about 5 degrees of a stabilizer. As you go farther down, this is our left radio and our right radio, and that's a message coming in our printer, which is probably from our dispatcher.
Thank you.
We're going to get a few bumps here right where we are.
So as you can see, our dispatcher got the message we sent, and then just sent us a message telling us to expect a few bumps or some light chop. So we go back down here.
These are the fire handles for the left and right engine. If we had a fire and had to shut down an engine or wanted to fire off a fire extinguishing system, these are what we would use. This is the left comm or the left radio. Well, you can actually run either radio from either side. So this is the left comm control panel, and these are just volume indicators for everything. And right now we're both monitoring the left VHF radio, and they're on speaker, as you can tell. You move farther down, this is the radar control. Right now the radar is on, as you saw earlier. We've got a couple degrees of up tilt. Another radio control head, and the same kind of thing. The comm panel that just adjusts the what you're talking on. When it's lit like that, that means you can talk on that frequency. When that light's lit up, it just means you're monitoring. The rudder trim and the aileron trim. The rudder trim indicator. I've got about half a unit of right rudder trim in the aircraft. And as you look just to the right, this is our evacuation system. We can initiate the command from here and set off the horns and lights. Of course, that's for the ground only. And then this is our transponder and also the TCAS control head for traffic advisories. And that basically takes you through the entire aircraft. The right panel is just basically the same as the left, but reversed. And we've got a few light controls and foot heaters. This right here is the tiller, or the steering wheel, and this is what I actually control the nose wheel with on the ground to turn the aircraft left and right. Then you use the top of the rudder pedals like you do in almost every airplane for brakes on the ground. And that's it. We just got a ding, a message to look at our printer. Let's see. This is the Oceanic. Whoops. This is our clearance. Right here. Track Sierra. We're cleared to London via Yankee Alpha Yankee on Track Sierra. And the route, expect 370, we're already there, and we're gonna go at 8.4 Mach. We slowed down to 8.2 Mach right now for the little bit of turbulence we're getting. So all we need to do is cross-check this against the master flight plan, Paul, and make sure that they agree.
Master flight plan.
So 5350, yep. 5440, 5530, 5520, 5510, cadence. That's correct. So that's it. We are cleared to cross.
We'll go ahead and check it again.
Northwest 52 has the right
The
of
FMC to make sure that's correct.
It's actually much better.
Northwest 52, Roger.
So check the distance and the bearing. Take it 82 to 244 degrees and then circle it.
Well, the next thing that we're going to do is to check on our clearance, confirming it with Gander. We've received it already via data link, and all I'll have to do is contact them and give them the route clearance that we've received and a track message identifier, which is based on the day, which today is 205.
Outside 627, read back to the correct good day. Gander, good evening, Northwest 52, stand by for readback. Northwest 52, Gander, stand by. Sir, break, United 928, go ahead and answer, say answer, and make readback.
United 928, estimated St. Anthony 0152 to track Sierra, flight level 370, Mach decimal 84, and team 9205.
United 928, read back to the correct good day.
And that's it.
Charlie, station calling, I got on the phone. Lost 1 to 11. I know you've been there, station, so it's interesting. 31 decimal 05, Delta 20, good night. United 928, United 928, on control, thank you, Lincoln.
We can do that.
Right, we're doing the Bobington 1 Alpha. It's all in the box, including the hold of Bobington if we have to do it. So that's all set. Transition over to what we expect to be 11-1, 10 September of 99, the ILS DME runway 9 left at Heathrow. 093, 110.3. Crossing the final approach fix out there, 2421 on the glide slope, going down to 279 feet, set. Threshold crossing height is 51 feet. The event of a mist. Direct Bobington looks good. No, I don't care for it. Hell no. The event of a mist, we can do it with the tower unless we're Comod or Nordo, or they tell us to fly to publish, in which case you can read it, which is climb straight ahead, and when we're through 1,580 feet, or 0-0 on the India Alpha Alpha, whichever is later, climbing left on 040 to 3,000 as directed. If it's radio failure, we need to go to the 11-5 page. Min safe is 21 on the east and 23 on the west. Flaps 30, let's go auto brakes to 2.
And 130 will be
130 plus 5, so 135. And the date's Kilo 16, planning the right turn off. Runway's 12,000 feet long. Plenty long. Questions? Comments? Figures. Strike everything I said after on planning. Okay, so 195 at 273. That's in the box. 2423 on the glide slope going down to 277. That's threshold crossing height is 77 feet, or excuse me, 56 feet. Same thing with the mist. Same, we'll just, if we have to do it range, we do. It's same min sector around the airport. Flaps 30. We'll still use auto brakes 3 because the sooner we get off, we get to the gate. Questions, comments, flaps 30. Okay. So next. 4,000 on the Eldridge, please.
right 10 degrees to 130.
Okay, 130 heading, I see. Down to 4. Bridge.
3,000, yeah, that's right.
3,000, I'll see that. One for three.
0 and report established on the wings. Glide path.
What are the approach? On the approach mode, please. Feel the site.
Air's localized.
Okay. We're right at our flaps 20 speed, so let's go ahead and go down the glide slope at 100 knots. Go ahead and final descent check.
There's hot stuff. And United 920 established. And 161 knots to 40 and 8.
Flaps 20.
That's right.
2,500.
1018 set twice.
1018 HPA set. Flaps are. Approach altitude 3,000 feet set.
Okay, so 25.
Flaps 25.
Paul, can you switch 3197 on your radio?
Flaps 30 out of the final. Approach altitude is set. On the glide slope, I have the tappy inside.
1,000.
Clear to land, 27 left in London, Seaford.
500 feet.
Final flap should be 30. We're not the first people here today. Visual landing.
Fifty. 30. 10.
Twin reverse. 80 knots.
We're gonna make this turn off.
60 knots.
I will.
All right, tell the folks too.
Please.
0558.
Thank you. They've got a 2-0 slot time, so they should be pushing shortly.
Sure doesn't look like it.
No. Ladies and gentlemen.
There's the vans right there. Yeah. Okay.
Get a little closer, right? I think it's the top second one from the left.
Yeah, I got 2 green bars, so that's good. Top second one from the left. That looks beautiful to me.
There's somebody out there?
No one's looking up at the airplane, but he's walking underneath the shutter down.
Right, it's going down.
I got the APU. Checklist. Set pressure normal. It is 0. Well, welcome to London. keep on flying. If I ever want the airplane, be no doubt I'm asking for it. I'll say it loud, push your hands away, and take the airplane.
All right.
Okay. Other than that, we'll just press on. I'll let you do the rest of the briefing.
Okay. Departure left actually probably be a radar vector towards Wobog.
Okay.
We'll probably be climbing 6,000 feet once we get our clearance, we'll know for sure. There are no two procedures here. We've already gone over the abort procedure. See the nose number logbook 2370, we signed for that. Yep. Zero fuel weight, we put that in as the FMC as 387.1.
Check.
Check. Gross weight is 536.1. Trim is 4.75. Leads are normal. Altimeters are 1019. Flaps 25. Keepers for max. Bring it down here. So 137 with 90 N1. We'll be using reduced to 38 degrees. So
I've got 149.0. We're cleared with 147.5.
oil quantity.
It's normal.
Oxygen check.
Complete.
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 Altimeters.
I've got 1019 inches set twice.
1019 set over here. Harden rate.
It's set. Pressure's normal.
Trim.
0, 0, 4 3/4 set. 5 minutes to
5 minutes is just about that time.
How was present position? Yeah, that'd be fine. Instead of
Then here we'll turn on the fuel control switches for both engines. Observe that oil temperature is going up and the oil pressure is going up. Fuel flow, both engines are lit off.
Now watch. This little tick mark goes away. Yeah, good start. It starts to
Start engine 2, start engine 1.
Split release from guidance.
For ground, United 99 taxi.
Bottoms.
To the line.
Yes.
They just changed those ones, but that's the old
That's-
one, like with the new titles.
Yes. It is, yeah.
These straight to your aircraft, I have the radio. 1.3. Now it's just a set.
V1.
VR. V2. Send me here. Yes. Control United's 929 Heavies with you out of 3,000 for 6. 010 after 4,000 must be restriction 929. 010 after 4. Flaps 1. Flaps 1. Position, ref. And then lap. Yeah, okay, got it. Right. No. 60 rain charge, working 3.
Somebody who was a flight attendant, but not for us. So my feeling is definitely going to do, then why not hire a pilot? Because the pilots seem to have a little better history of being maybe someone who was already in there, gave them that job, who worked really well with the senior VP that had that.
You're telling me that you're in line for
782, flying through maintain, flight level 390. Headed 929, north of flight level 390. What is it? Think about 523 heavy?
Ocean 523, maintain.
523.
United 943, indicate 2H down up.
280 knots, United 943.
United 929, descend now, maintain flight level 310, and then 310, indicate 2H down up.
Close, but not there.
Heavy, contact Cleveland 7133.87. American 83 Heavy, contact Chicago 7132.27.
3227, American 83, no response.
Delta, contact Minneapolis 125.55. Minneapolis Center.
Cleveland Center and 126.75. 275, that was 2191 today. United 943, contact Chicago Center and 126.1.
Looks good. Execute.
We just knocked about 10 minutes off our estimate.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we're getting close to Chicago. We're about 145 minutes from an incredibly smooth landing that first officer is going to make. This will be a good time to tell you we appreciate you flying with us. We appreciate you being interested in United, and we hope to see you again sometime in the friendly skies. And we hope you enjoyed the video. Enjoy the landing. Thank you.
Well, we're going to brief the approach now into Chicago International Airport. Anticipate landing at this time on runway 9 right. What we'll be briefing is the various parts of this approach. I'll start with the name of the approach, Chicago, Illinois, ILS runway 9 right. The date is 9 June 2000. The approach number is 21-4. Our localizer frequency is 111.1. Approach course is 090. We'll cross Dina on the glide slope, 2,205 feet, down to a decision height of 866 feet, which I'll set in the altitude warner. The airport elevation is 668 feet with a touchdown zone 666 feet. If we should decide to miss the approach, or if they tell us to go around, we'll climb to 1,400 feet, then a right turn to 4,000 via the DuPage VOR, 85-degree radial to DuPage VOR and hold. One additional comment that's required in our briefing is we need to mention the threshold crossing height. 33.2 United 1990. In order to assure that the main gear has adequate clearance. And in this case, it'll be 64 feet.
Chicago United's 929 Heavy is with you around at 22.3 for 200, 310 knots.
pivot at 12,000 if you'll execute that. And we're already in LNAV. Here's a depiction of the O'Hare International Airport. We'll be landing on 9 right, and we'll be shooting for clearing the runway at intersection Mike 5, and then taxiing into the International Terminal gate number Mike 16. We'll be using auto brakes 2, which will give us a set deceleration factor. And our target, or our reference speed, will be 131 knots, which as a technique we set right there. Or 136 knots as a target speed. That's the end of my approach briefing. If you have anything else to add.
No questions. Left turn off, and I'll keep flying until I take the aircraft.
Okay. Should be landing now in approximately 20 minutes, and we'll have a nice smooth landing.
And ladies and gentlemen, as we get close to the end of our trip, it's been a pleasure to have you aboard. There are a lot more people, though, than just the pilots and flight attendants that make up United Airlines. Over 100,000 professionals in every kind of job, from the baggage handlers to the people who fuel our aircraft to the reservationists and many, many more. And on behalf of all of them, it's been our pleasure to have you flying with us. We hope to see you again sometime in our friendly skies real soon. Have a great day. Thank you.
Traffic around there at 1 o'clock. I'm going to stow the radar.
Alright. 929 heavy, turn right heading 010, intercept 4 right, going to maintain 3000.
010 down to 3 to join 4 right, Channel 99.
929 heavy, maintain 2,500, all establish, clear now at 4 right, 180 knots until rest, Rex County Tower 120.75.
2,500 till established, 210 knots, and 2075 Rex, 180 knots at United.
American 1995, cross the at 8,000, clear now at 12 coast, maintain 25 knots. Clear now at 12 right, close, 250 on the airspeed, and taking at 8, American 1995. That's 1331, flighting 080, intercept 4 right, going to maintain 8,000.
Down, follow me, Central. Cabin notifications make it bladed. Tower 999. Landing gears down, trigger. Your flaps are 30 plan, 15 indicated. 20 flaps, please. Flaps 20. Good landing at 92.9 or so. Alrighty. 1,000 feet cross check, no flags.
Good land, runway 9 right, inside Chicago, or 4 right.
4 right.
Chicago Air inside.
Checks. Let's just go over the numbers. And you should be on the deck. Here comes 500.
Times 30.
Confirm. Alright.
brakes. Two in lock. Two in reverse. Yeah, hold it. 100 knots. 19 I will go. There's 75 knots.
He wants to come back, right?
Roll.
Come back.
Just go back. Yeah. There's 60. Ready? I got it. My aircraft. APU's cranking. You're on ground. Okay.
Sixteen's confirmed.
Okay.
I didn't think the landing was that bad.
Mike 16, I see
Wonderful
it.
then.
I see this car, truck, vehicle, whatever.
APU's running.
Come down.
Yeah, 8 hours and 42 minutes blocking at 1844.
I moved it to here, 104.
When you can, checklist.
Spring rate.
It is set, pressure is normal.
Inflow.
0. Check.